This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
As a contractor, I choose Hardie fiber cement because I've seen it outperform wood-based siding and other hard siding materials. The high-quality craftsmanship translates into beautiful and durable results that leave our customers at G-Fidel extremely satisfied. Using Hardie siding has significantly reduced my callbacks and warranty claims too.
At James Hardie, we're here to support you, from training materials to resources that can help you generate a greater profit. Learn more about growing your business with us at jameshardie.com/build.
Hey everybody, welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
Hi.
What do you guys got to talk about today, huh?
Oh, I pulled several things. We'll keep it light because obviously everything's still a trash fire.
Oh,
but
God.
I need to know, like, how many days this week did you cry?
Oh, every day.
Yeah,
every single day. Yeah. No, I had a long conversation. I've got 3 nieces in Ohio, so I'm doing all kinds of great. But I was on Reddit and I did find a couple of things to discuss with you guys. Something I thought was interesting. Here's a question I'm going to pose to you.
Okay.
If you get a crush on someone else while in a relationship, when do you tell your partner, if ever?
This is keeping it light. Okay.
Well, I mean, okay.
I mean, compared to everything else going on in the world, very, very light.
Because I think I know who Eric's celebrity crushes are.
Right.
Like his
Yeah.
future ex-wife is Rosario Dawson.
And great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
He knows my celebrity crushes. So I think that celebrities, are probably whatever. We all have them. And we're all like, oh,
definitely
that person's hot.
a whatever. Yeah.
I actually haven't had a crush on someone else while I've been dating Eric, but I personally think I would feel uncomfortable if he told me about a crush he had on somebody in real life.
I really don't think it's necessary at all. I mean, unless you are in like a really close working situation with that person, or like, because otherwise I'm just kind of like, yeah, it's natural. We're human beings. We are going to find people attractive or interesting or whatever else. Like that's normal and natural, and we should be completely like accepting and forgiving of those kinds of things within relationships, in my opinion. So I don't think there's any need to bring it up unless you feel like you're in danger of acting on it or something. Like, why else? Because otherwise it's just kind of like, in my opinion, I
feel like, you're just asking to make your partner more insecure at that point.
Jealous for no reason, if there's no reason to be jealous.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess it depends, right? Like you said, if it depends, like how out of reach is it? Like a celebrity crush is one thing. I'm like, oh, you're cute. You're cute. You like Rosario Dawson. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm like,
you're fine.
I like Tom Hiddleston. It's like,
right.
Okay, it's
we're
fine.
all fine. We're no one is in danger.
Bill
of acting
Hader
upon.
is single again.
What?
So
I mean,
there's always that.
there's always that. There's
I
always
guess I
that.
gotta talk to Eric now.
oh no. I don't see any reason why you would bring it up. Except to make somebody jealous. And that feels icky. Like, it feels like you would bring that up to be like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm all for like open conversations.
Yeah.
And like Eric and I talk about legitimately everything.
Yeah.
Every single thing. But I would feel very uncomfortable telling him about this because I wouldn't want him to feel insecure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, I don't feel like I would say anything ever.
Yeah.
Because crushes are crushes, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I mean, there's
like,
I've, had like little small crushes on people like in my life, but I've never thought about acting on it.
Yeah. I don't see a reason to say anything. I just don't, unless
I'm like,
you feel like you are in a situation where maybe it's like reciprocated and you're in close proximity all the time and something like that, like possibly
like a work colleague or
yeah,
something.
if you're sharing a cubicle with someone that you both are like, oh, we have crushes on each other, that might be a different thing. But like,
what would you do with that? What do you do with that information though?
Yeah, I kind of feel like if you're in close proximity, this is actually interesting because I've been depression rewatching The Office. So of course you have Jim and Pam.
Yeah, exactly.
So Pam is of course like engaged to Roy and she works in close proximity to Jim. She obviously has a crush on him. He obviously has a crush on her.
Yeah.
And it's 3 seasons of not communicating, like any of them, and all the wacky hijinks exist because nobody is like upfront,
which is perfect
and
for a sitcom,
right?
Not perfect for real life.
But in real life, like, what would you do?
Yeah,
what would you do if you were Pam?
What would I do if I was Pam in The Office? Okay, this is great. This is great. First of all, fuck Jim, like immediately. Season 1, episode 1.
I mean, also Roy does suck like a lot.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's awful.
You'd break off that engagement with Roy
immediately.
Because wow, what an asshole.
And I can see. Here's the honest other thing. I can see why she withheld that information because obviously it's like a wacky TV show, but he does show signs of abuse.
Right. Well,
show.
because but the thing is with Roy, if we're talking about The Office, with Roy, like he was possessive because he's an asshole, but he was also possessive because he knew that something was going on there. Like
right.
that was very apparent in the show where it was just like, this feels uncomfy. And his instincts were right in that, in that respect between those two people, and it's easy because it's a TV show and it's easy to kind of be like, haha, because Roy is such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
but
here's what I would honestly do if I were Pam. And this is disrespectful because obviously like she's in a relationship with Roy, but like she's having those feelings and she's so close and has a friendship with Jim. I would have talked to Jim first to see if those feelings were there. I would have talked it out, would not acted on him. No kissing or anything yet. If everybody's on the same page and I'm feeling a kind of way, then I would talk to Roy and break up.
Shouldn't you just leave Roy anyway? Because clearly, like,
well, absolutely,
yeah. I mean, that's not. It's not working out if you're already like having conversations on the side. Like, hey, listen, if I go, you ready?
Yeah. Code word raccoon. Oh my gosh. Well, what about you? So you would talk to Roy first. You would say, I have a crush on Jim.
In this specific instance, I would like to believe in my head where I do the right thing. I would like to believe that I would break up with Roy regardless, just because like clearly you're not that into Roy. I think the thing that was like keeping Roy and Pam together was just time and
some cost fallacy.
Yeah, just like having been together for so long, but probably the right thing for Pam, regardless of whether or not she ended up with Jim, was to break up with Roy. Even if homegirl ended up by herself, was probably the better thing to do.
Right.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, that was bad advice.
No, because you
technically
technically did do that.
Yeah, I did.
You did.
Yeah, I did do the right thing.
You did.
Oh, look at me. So, well,
there you go.
What would you do, Cass? Are you even familiar with The Office? Have you seen it?
No, but I do know Jim and Pam. I know enough about The Office.
Okay.
To have seen like a few episodes and know what you're talking about. Like gosh, it's such a weird scenario, right? Because we're talking about characters that are being, you're given one nuance to that, right? You're getting a character development given to you, right? So
yeah,
nothing is that simple, right? Nothing is Roy is bad, Jim good. Nothing is ever that simple.
Well,
in
Jim
real
wasn't
life.
even really good, so there's also that.
Right.
Yeah. The rewatch on this is not giving me the happiness
those
that I thought.
Butterflies that you had the first time.
If you haven't revisited that in a few years.
I hadn't seen it until I was already an adult. Like I saw it like a few years ago. And the best part of Jim and Pam's relationship is before they get together.
Yeah.
It is like that lead up to them getting together is like the like
will they, won't they?
when they're the best. Yeah. It's like after that, it's kind of like,
Yeah. All growth stops for Pam and it becomes the gym show pretty much. And anyways, this is not an office podcast. This is a dating podcast.
It's
crushes.
relevant.
We're talking crushes.
Yeah. I don't think that a show is a real good adaptation to real life, right? Like
But
I
I'm
think
sure
that there's just when you're looking at like good qualities, bad qualities, and especially when you've been in a relationship with somebody and the time amount is very high, you've been with somebody for X number of years, you're literally have, I don't know, there's so much like, I mean, Chris and I's anniversary is this weekend.
Yeah.
It'll be like 17 years.
Yeah.
You have 17 years with somebody. That's a lot of time. You're always going to have had good and bad times within 17 years.
Yeah.
And I think that it's easy to look at somebody new and be like, I would never have any problems with this person, but you will. Like, So I don't know. It's just a lot to balance, you know? I mean, have they been 17 awful years or have they been 17 great years? You know, like that's, you know, and having a crush on somebody can be so fluid and so passing. I've had crushes. I've had instant crushes on strangers before that have lasted. I mean, I've had meals last longer than some crushes I've had.
Absolutely. I've had crushes on guys before I've met them from Tinder or whatever. And then it's like instant, like the balloon deflating, you know, like, So, no,
I don't know.
It's all about not acting on them. Well, that was pretty good. Do we know who we're going to FMK this week?
I mean, we have The Office on the table. I mean,
oh, but you've never seen it.
That's okay. I know enough. I do. I know enough about the show.
I don't think I know we have never done The Office.
Yeah,
characters.
we've done Jim and Pam as a couple.
Oh, that's right. TV couples.
We have not done like Dwight and Michael Scott.
And Andy Bernard.
Andy Bernard.
Which one's Andy Bernard?
He's Ed Helms' character.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this is impossible.
He has golden retriever energy. Actually, he has Jack Russell Terrier energy. It's like,
This is the, The Office, Dwight Schrute, Michael Scott, Andy Bernard.
Oh God.
Fuck,
This is
Marry, Kill.
awful.
It feels like that Bo Burnham song where like, you're really going to make me marry Andy Bernard right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh no.
Because you're not going to marry Dwight.
I am going to marry Dwight.
You are not.
No,
you're
not. You're not.
You know, my favorite part of The
He's
Office
loyal. There's
is that moment where Pam is crying on the bench. And Dwight comes up and he's like looking down at her and he goes, "Who did this to you?" And I'm like, I love Dwight. Dwight and
Actually,
Angela are my favorite couple of The Office.
I don't.
I said it.
I know.
I said it.
I
It's
don't hate
awful,
Dwight
but I
either.
cry every time. Spoiler alert, by the way, that they get together at the very last season.
that
makes me
relationship
so
is
happy.
so fucked up.
They fuck in the warehouse for like a whole season. Phyllis walks in on him. Yeah, no, I'm going to marry Dwight. He is it's probably a bad idea. We're both a little too serious, and I think but he's got a farm. He's got a huge beet farm.
Oh no.
Oh no.
And I think that he would do anything for his. I think he'd be a very loving, supporting,
And loyal. You're right.
Loyal
He
husband.
is loyal. He is loyal. I could not. He would drive me absolutely up the wall. And also his farm is creepy. Can we just, he's got a creepy farm.
His mows.
Yeah. I'm like, no. And I hate beets. And I don't wanna
I
do
love beets. All right, Christina, who are you going to?
I'm going to fuck Michael Scott because I believe wholeheartedly that he would try very hard.
He seems like he sweats a lot. I'm getting a sweaty vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like
But he would try.
He would try so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But would
Also
he know? He did.
But I feel like he would take direction well too, you know? Like he doesn't seem like he has like ego in that way. In the
Michael
bedroom.
Scott doesn't have ego.
He's not aware. He's not self-aware.
Oh
but
no.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Listen. Okay, do you want to why are you killing Andy Bernard?
I cannot stand Andy Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
I think that his energy and his enthusiasm in that way and his suck up ass kissing thing
I hate
drives
that.
me up a fucking
Isn't
wall.
he also part of like a barbershop quartet or something
Yeah.
like that?
Oh,
Like an acapella group?
Oh my
Yeah.
I can't.
You could never.
I could
never.
My face on my face? No,
No.
that would not work.
You're right. That's a no for you. I feel that.
God, I hate this.
It's awful.
This is awful.
It's truly terrible. I am going to fuck Dwight. Because I have seen
My
The
face
Office, and
right
that man is willing to do some shit.
I was just going to say, he has a lot of toys on his desk. I'm sure he's got a lot of toys.
He's
just in
extremely
general.
adventurous, it seems like.
Yes.
Willing to fuck in public.
Yes.
Like,
he's like, do you want to do it in the warehouse? Yes. Do you want to do it like in the office? Yes.
yeah, Dwight I'm gonna go. I feel like, and you know, I don't have to hang out with him. I don't have to listen to him recite bar trivia to me, like post.
Wait, bar trivia sounds fun.
Not the way he does it.
Never mind.
And I like Battlestar Galactica, and I'm still like it's too much. It's a lot. It's too intense. Okay,
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah. And I don't like beats, so I'm like, it's a no for a long-term situation. But I'm going to keep him close because with the end times coming, I feel like he is the one to have around. I'm like, I think he knows how to shoot a gun. I think he knows how to can.
Oh, he's a prepper for sure.
Yeah. He's got a entire, that creepy farm just has a whole bunker full of like
toilet
canned,
paper and Chef
canned
Boyardee.
goods. Probably a lot of canned beets. I'd get over my like issue if we were in that situation.
So many canned beets.
Okay. I find both of these men,
awful,
Andy Bernard and Michael Scott, insufferable.
Right.
They are awful.
Yeah.
Andy Bernard has that like little rich boy thing going on that I don't like, always looking for daddy's approval thing that is like, ew. But Michael Scott, I might end up on Snapped. Because he's so unaware that he says the worst fucking things.
Oh,
can
you
you
drive
imagine
you crazy.
Me being with somebody who like was offhandedly saying like racist or misogynist shit in public?
No.
Two people. Yeah, it's bad.
I cannot. So I'm gonna have to kill him. I just have to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Andy Bernard, he's going to be really annoying, but he is the type who's going to like wake up early and make me breakfast in bed.
Yeah.
When his terrible waspy parents die, I feel like there's probably an inheritance there. So that's nice.
That's good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
The acapella for
these
me.
These are terrible options. They're all bad. Cassie?
I hate this. This is awful.
I actually think Cass should marry Dwight.
That's where I was going.
I do.
I think that he is.
I could.
I owe you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I hate the country. I would hate living on a farm. So there's
Andy
that.
Bernard has a boat.
I think that's kind of more my speed.
There you go.
And I also am along the lines of like waspy parents die.
Well, and he's also like she said, like a Jack Russell. Like he's just like
he's a nice
eager to
guy.
please.
He's a nice guy. It's just it might be too nice.
Yeah,
you know, like
for me.
But
absolutely.
I'm like, who could I marry? I couldn't marry Michael Scott. I couldn't.
No.
Oh my God. Not being able, I would never be able to take him anywhere.
No.
You're right. Like, I feel like Andy is more eager to please. Like,
Yeah.
He's probably terrible in bed. Of the three of them, he's probably the worst one. But
Yeah.
I mean,
God.
like you got to make a pros and cons list.
Yeah.
Pro.
God. Oh, God. Oh, I cannot fuck Dwight. I can't. I can't. I can't.
I think he's cute.
I mean, different strokes.
Not the cutest. Obviously, like Steve Carell. I'm like,
Oh, I think
show.
Helms is the cutest for sure.
oh,
Ed Helms, yeah.
interesting.
I am gonna fuck Michael Scott.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about it.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying
We won't.
No, I mean like after it happens, nobody's
Nobody's gonna know.
Nobody
Except
needs to know.
Mike. Okay. We won't have to, Michael Scott will tell people because that's
Exactly.
I know.
The picture in the warehouse.
Oh
Oh,
no. God, that was awful.
yeah, it was hard. That was
awful.
really hard, actually.
It was. Yeah.
That's what she
Wow.
said.
Ayo. And we're back, bitches.
Oh shit! You guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Yes.
Woof.
And we're back. Okay, I have the Tainted Love this week, so I will kick us off with stories. I met this guy on a dating site, and we had a pretty nice first date. Dinner, conversation, the usual. He was handsome, polite, and we had things in common to talk about. It wasn't a knock your socks off kind of first date, but definitely good enough to get a second date. So, about a week later, we met for brunch and then decided it might be nice to go for a little hike. I wasn't wearing the right shoes for the hike, so we stopped back at my place so I could change. Up until this point, things had gone very well. He told me more about his job, where he had grown up, his love of surfing, etc. Obviously, I told him about my life too, and that included a lot of conversation about my dogs. I'm a devoted animal lover, and dogs are especially high on my list.
I love you already.
In fact, I have only lived without dogs for the 4 years I was in college. I'm not a crazy dog lady, but I will admit to preferring the company of canines over most anyone else.
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
can't find any fault
No.
in that whatsoever.
You sound normal. I'm sorry.
To me, dogs are very special creatures, and my life is just not the same without them. My date was interested, asked questions about my dogs, and said how much he wanted to meet them. All good reactions because I am definitely a love me, love my dogs kind of person. I mean, I don't care if somebody doesn't like them, but it's important to know this right away because there's no chance whatsoever that I will be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't like them.
Absolutely
There you go.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
When I first introduced my date to the dogs, he was friendly and sweet to them, but I did notice that he had a very odd way of petting them. Most people who are familiar with animals and spend time around dogs will put one hand out to be sniffed, and then if it's okay with the dog, they will gently pet him in a kind of stroking manner.
Oh no.
This is like a WikiHow for meeting a dog.
Dude, have you ever, or are you friends with someone that grew up not allowed to have animals?
Yes. And are they weird?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad.
do
I
too.
really do because I've seen the person I'm thinking of really does like animals. They just like don't get it. You know, like they just don't get it. Like how to interact with them and how to pet them. They pet like so hard.
Yeah.
Stuff. I'm like, they're tiny. Like, don't
Please relax. Their
relax.
muscles are, or
I
their
always feel
bones are going to collapse.
bad because we were like a menagerie
Yeah,
growing up. We
same.
had all of the animals.
Same. Yeah, we were a big pet family.
Yeah.
Big time.
And so I always feel bad for people that
Yeah.
weren't allowed to have the pets when they grew up.
I know. And my mom is so allergic. So I mean, so allergic. She literally would have to take shots
Yeah.
and take allergy medicine every single day just for us to have animals in the house. So I'm like, so when people are like, oh, we just can't have them, I'm like, well,
Could if you tried hard enough.
just don't know that you are sound like a quitter.
You sound like a quitter.
They're like, no, actually, I'm going into like anaphylactic shock. And you're like, well,
Did you take a shot and take your?
yeah. Did you take your Benadryl this morning? Oh, okay.
Sounds like a you problem.
I was raised all wrong.
No, I mean, Anthony did ask me because like we had that conversation. I was out somewhere yesterday and we had that conversation because I'm actually allergic to cats. Like if I get clawed by a cat, it swells up really badly. If my cats rub on me too much, I get like a rash, you know, and so I am actually like mildly allergic to cats. I just don't care.
Yeah.
And when I first,
You're my mom.
you know, got together with Anthony, I had just gotten Matilda, my cat, and he was like, "Oh, I'm allergic to cats. I can't be around cats." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's. I guess this is over. I don't know what to tell you. I'm
You're
not
like, so am I.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
It's been
saying?
real.
I'm not getting rid of this cat." And so that started a conversation about a comedian who Anthony listens to. They have 3 kids, and one of their kids like has a severe allergy to dogs. And like little kid, he's like 4 or something, has like a severe dog
Did they have to
allergy.
give it up for adoption?
So they're giving up their dog. And he's
I was
like,
talking about their child.
"Oh,
No.
that's because Anthony was like, what would you do?" And I'm like, "Well, did I have the dog? I had the dog first. I mean, I don't know.
Listen, I was adopted. It's not that bad.
That's terrible. Hey, you know?
Anyway.
Anyways.
Okay, so most people reach their hand out, and if it's okay, they'll gently pet the dog.
The wiki how.
Not this guy. He just stuck his rigid hand right out and started slapping them on the head. It was like a weird, stiff cartoon version of petting a dog.
Pat.
It definitely caught my attention, but I didn't want to overreact, so I let it go. I figured there would be plenty of time to teach him a nicer way of petting a dog. I excused myself and went in the next room to change my shoes. As I walked back into the living room, what I encountered made me see red.
Oh.
My date did not hear me approaching and was shoving and kicking one of my dogs while hissing, "Get the fuck away from me, you dirty little mutt."
What?
Can you? The 3 of us are the wrong people for this.
I'm like, listen.
I'm actually speechless, but you better get the fuck out of my house.
Dude,
immediate.
The
Can
last
you-
2 weeks I've been sniffing for a fight. Like, and this is just giving me like
Wow.
all I would.
I don't even have dogs right now. If I came back and someone was mistreating one of my cats,
That's disgusting. That's awful.
I'm furious. I'm furious.
Yep.
Having adopted a dog that had been mistreated,
Yep.
I wish you fucking would. I would.
And okay, well, we can discuss at the end of this, but okay. So you're saying that in the meanest, rudest way you can imagine. And it wasn't one of my younger, Christina, you are going to flip this table. It wasn't one of my younger, more rambunctious dogs who might have jumped up on him.
No.
But my old man dog, Harry, who is just about the sweetest soul on earth. He's not even a foot high and couldn't jump up on someone if his life depended on
okay,
it.
Oh, my
motherfuck this
God.
person straight into Saturn. Honestly, that's
Yep.
the worst thing I've ever heard. I don't understand how somebody could mistreat any dog, but
An old
especially
dog.
like a senior dog. That just
Named
makes
Harry.
me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Harry.
Harry.
Also,
Yeah.
people names for dogs. Can we
Love
just
it.
say A++?
Love it. I stopped in my tracks and said, "No, Harry is fine. You are the one who needs to get the fuck out of our house right now, you nasty piece of shit."
Yes.
He started stammering an excuse,
Nope.
but I simply walked
Bye.
over, held the door open, and repeated, "Get out now."
Yeah.
Yep.
Fast forward 5 years, I'm no longer dating. I found my match, an amazingly kind, animal-loving guy. We got married and live happily ever after with our 4 rescued dogs.
Yes.
But here's the thing about that guy. It's not just that he is a weirdo
Serial
who
killer?
like, hates animals. It's that he faked it.
Yeah, you pretended.
That's scary.
Listen, if you're not into animals, okay, you're not. That's fine.
fine.
You get to live your. There are plenty of
Other people who
out there
don't want him either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would think. I'm flabbergasted right now.
Yeah.
I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Why you would think like she's been open. They've had dates. They've talked about her dogs. I'm sure they're a big part
Yeah.
of her life, and so.
And he acted excited, like he wanted to meet them. Like that's what he said. He was like, that's awesome. I want to meet your dogs. That's so cool.
He was
So
just,
to me,
he was just trying to smash.
but it's very scary because I'm like, what else how many what else are you lying to me about?
Right.
Like anyone who can hide it like that is so
we're fucking
creepy.
Done. The best thing that ever happened to her was to walk in on that.
Oh yeah.
The best thing that ever happened in her fucking life was to walk
What
in
if
on
she'd
that shit.
what if they dated and she'd left
never
him
caught
alone with her animals? Like, no.
Yeah, no. It's going to be a no for me.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Sorry, I have to regroup and find
I knew that was going to piss you guys off. I knew it was.
Well, yeah, you. Well, to follow that, went on a date with a girl that, in hindsight, had more red flags than a communist rally.
Yikes.
That's a lot.
She didn't drive, so I was driving her to our first date. During small talk, she admitted she legally wasn't allowed to drive because of 2 accounts of attempted vehicular manslaughter.
Whoa.
Wait a second.
I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was going to be like a DUI.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. That is a lot to learn in the first
vehicular
manslaughter.
Twice. Twice?
Is it the same person or are these different incidents?
Oh, we're about to find out, I think.
2 separate occasions on the same person.
She's like, fuck you, Karen. I'm gonna run that bitch down.
First time, the judge chalked it up to an accident. Second time, he revoked her.
Like, fool me once. Shame on me.
It's like, oh, you again.
Oh, that's not all that came up in small talk. She also talked about her ex a lot. And the fact that she had a shunt in her brain. This will come up later. I let her pick this first date. It's
a lot, and you just got in the
First
car
date.
and you're just unloading. Like, why? You gotta hide your crazy for like a second.
You gotta talk more on the app or over the phone before meeting up with people, honestly. And I've made that mistake. Listen, I've been eager and hungry to get to that date and just see if it works, but that's how you get vehicular manslaughter.
Exactly.
Honestly.
I let her pick where the first date would take place. Sky was the limit. She picked the Golden Corral.
Oh my God. The sky is the limit. She picked the Golden Corral. All you can eat. I mean, she's
I'm
smart.
not going to lose money on this.
Yeah, right? We get there. It's like 7 because she wanted to go to a movies after.
So you're there with all of the old couples at the Golden
I feel like
Corral?
the old couples are there at 4.
Oh,
I think
God.
I think you missed the old crowd. She immediately, I think you're now into the family crowd, right? 7. Like mom and dad are off work. We're going to just take these fucking kids to the
COVID self cannot even handle the thought
Of a
of a
buffet.
buffet. People are monsters.
Yeah.
even before
Little
COVID.
people are bigger monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fingers.
Grubby
and,
little fingers.
in
food
things. And
then noses and mouths and then food again.
Oh God, what were we thinking?
She immediately drives the conversation into sex talk.
Oh,
at a Golden Corral,
Yeah.
there's nothing sexual about Salisbury steak.
No, especially when
Speak
it's
for
with other
yourself.
Salisbury steak in one big chafing pan.
And cafeteria pizza.
oh God.
God. I'm not talking about gentle, playful segue.
Oh, no.
But a mid-sentence. By the way, because I have a shunt in my brain, rough sex could kill me, but I still want it. This was in a Golden Corral with nothing but older couples around. She did not have a volume control. Then she started talking about her ex's dick. Every single aspect, from vein placement, smell, size, taste. I could not get her to...
What?
I could not.
She's like eating a breadstick. She's like, you know what this reminds me of?
You know-
Ryan's big dick.
He had this one vein that went right over... What?
I love you both. And we've said a lot of shit on this podcast. But if either one of you starts talking to me about
the
how your
taste.
partner's dick tastes,
Stop it.
Yeah, that's a line we can't get back from because we actually hang out outside of the podcast and there's no way.
I couldn't look you guys in the face.
No.
Could you imagine seeing Chris after I just told you that?
Also, can we just say, if it has too much of a taste, there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Also
Yes.
true. Yes.
Yeah. I think we can all admit that. And I think we can leave it right there. Thank you very much. I could not get her to stop talking about it. I knew.
I'm so sorry, but all I can picture now is that fucking character that Will Ferrell used to do where he had that loud monotone voice. And so now I'm picturing him in Golden Corral being like, my ex's penis was so large. It tasted like strawberries.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh my God.
I knew more about this other man's dick than I ever wanted to. If his dick committed a crime, I could have picked it out of a lineup.
God damn it.
So I tell her, I'm not feeling well, and I ask if we can hold off on the movie for tonight. She agrees. I start driving her home, and she uses her context clues to figure out we're near my house. I figured this out later. She starts begging to use the bathroom. Eventually, not wanting to subject her to a truck stop bathroom, I drive home quickly because my dog also needed to be let out. Yes, hindsight is 20/20, and this was a bad idea. I know. This was many years ago. So I take my dog out for maybe 3 minutes, come back in, and she's stark naked on my couch.
Oh, she pulled the naked man.
Asking me if I see anything I like.
No.
I literally just imagine her just gesturing.
Like
just
Vanna
see anything
White.
you like.
No, that's assault.
It really is. Yeah,
just
you can't
do
force
that.
your naked on other people.
And on my couch.
Yeah.
I don't know where that, in fact, actually, no, I do know where that ass has been because you have
You told me.
told me.
in great detail.
We know everything.
You
Yeah.
can pick that dick out in the lineup. I looked her dead in the eyes and said, no, get dressed.
No.
It was the most awkward 15-minute drive of my life. I had to interact with her dad. He asked me if she was pregnant. It was an entire lifetime's worth of nightmares. There's even more, but this is already long. Needless to say, I stopped dating for years afterward.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
No, I would take myself out too. Yeah. Oof. Wow. That is
It's a lot.
it's a handful. Well, I got one that I think is going to delight you guys because I feel like we all went on dates with this guy at one point in our life. So she says, my worst date was with a UCLA frat boy.
Oh.
He originally wanted to take me to his apartment to chill at his place on our first date after the frat party was over for the night. He then talked a lot about alcohol, how he's got bottles in his apartment and car, and how we can chill drinking from those for the night. It seems as if he wanted to get me drinking, and due to my gut instincts, I told him I did not feel comfortable doing that. He pushed it, but I kept firm with my no. Then he asked, like he was angry with me, well, what do you want to do then? I told him I wanted to meet in a public place during the day.
Yeah.
So we planned
Big ask
for the
there.
next day when we went to CPK. Side note, I did see a TikTok with somebody that was like, got a request for something like that, like a first date meetup where they would have drinks at his house. And she like ghosted. And so then he would like follow up with her like every month, like asking or whatever. She finally wrote him back. She's like, listen, I shouldn't have ghosted you. She's like a younger girl. So she's like, here's, how I feel. Like if you are not cognizant of why that's a dangerous ask, like to ask a woman to meet you in your place by yourself, then you're just not somebody that I want to.
Yeah, you're not
to
for
date.
me.
Yeah.
You're not for me. That you don't have like the self-awareness to understand like why that would be uncomfortable, and then you don't have the self-awareness to understand why it's weird for you to follow up with me every month.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, we're talking for like 6 or 7 months. And she's like, no response is a response.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sir.
what do you think is going to happen? You think like month 6, I'm going to be like, oh, sorry, just got your message.
Yeah.
Like,
But I thought that was such a cool thing to point out, that it's like, oh, if somebody that you're going out on a date doesn't even like have the wherewithal to think that that might be an uncomfortable situation for a woman to be in, is probably not going to have a lot of wherewithal on other things,
Yeah.
So
oh, absolutely.
something to keep in mind. So anyways, as we got to CPK, he sat there on his phone, not even engaging with me. He would also angle his phone in a way to where I couldn't see what he was doing on it.
This is a first date. Like, you're creeping on a first date?
Right. This was a huge turnoff for me because I hate when people are on their phones when I'm hanging out with them, especially when they act like I'm not there. He didn't even look at the menu, and I had to remind him to look at it so he can know what to order for drinks and food.
Is he on this date? Does he know?
Does he know?
When it came to food, he said, "Yeah, I want a pizza." And I said,
"Wow,
which
this
pizza?
Is a pizza restaurant.
It's California Pizza Kitchen. There's a lot of them.
There's many
There's
different
options.
pizzas. Which pizza do you want?" And he's like, "Pepperoni."
Oh my God.
Oh, okay.
You know what? You could just get up and leave. You probably wouldn't even notice.
Honestly, when the waiter came up to us for drinks, I ordered an alcoholic drink. This was when my date started talking to me.
Oh,
He asked
God.
me if my ID was a fake. I told him it wasn't and that it was real. And he asked me how old I was. I told him 22.
I was like, at least 21.
Yeah,
motherfucker.
exactly. And he said, as a smile morphs into a frown, "I thought you were much younger than that. I usually don't date girls that old."
Oh, that old,
How old is he?
sir.
I was like, "What? That's young." And he told me that he prefers teens and that he went for me because I looked like a teen.
Oh, no. That's the reddest of red.
The reddest
That is-
of flags.
I assume he's over 21.
A fucking
Yeah.
maroon
Well,
ass flag.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, no.
He specifically thought that I was a college freshman, but I told him I'm actually a senior. He seemed very turned off by that and almost angry with me.
Okay.
Well,
Also, there's something, again, no self-awareness to admit that. To be like, oh, I actually like teenagers.
That's disgusting.
to say that came out of your mouth out loud in
At
public?
a CPK.
Yeah.
Honestly. He then went back on his phone and we barely talked for the rest of our lunch. He seemed like he had no interest in me and I just wanted to leave because I thought he was a tool. I'm not attracted to those type of guys at all. And once we paid the check, I walked out.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, I hate
Ooh,
that.
I hate that.
But you gotta love when they tell on themselves right away.
Yep. You love
Honestly.
You love a good tattletale.
honestly, better to have this guy than the guy from my date who's just gonna like fake it all the way through
Right.
until you're hooked in.
Yeah, and
Ugh.
you secretly don't know that he's been kicking your precious angel Harry. Oh my God.
Yeah, Cassie's been re-triggered. On that note,
I know. Let's take 5 and then we'll come back for the Tainted Love.
And we're back. Keegan.
alrighty. Okay, so last week was a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to say thank you to everybody who reached out and gave us so much like love and encouragement after that episode. We really appreciate you all. But, you know, I thought let's keep it a little lighter, a little looser.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because the world is not.
Yes. Yeah. So I am going to be taking us a little back in history. I first heard about this it came up on YouTube for me. It was like one of those things where like randomly like history, like 10-minute history lessons will like come up in my queue. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah.
So I clicked on it and it was like really short, summary. And so I was like doing some searching and I found a ridiculous romance episode on this person. And then the rest of my sources will be on the website. Okay. I'm going to be talking about the love life of Hector Berlioz, composer.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Interesting.
Berlioz really only ever, I've heard some of his stuff, like now having re-listened to some of it in preparation for this episode. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I know some of his compositions. But before that, it was all just like that one cat from the Aristocats is named Berlioz.
Oh.
oh,
That's the only reference point that I had. Hector Berlioz.
That's right.
Oh, there you go. Hector was born on December 11th, 1803, Sagittarius.
Oh, okay.
The eldest child of Louis Berlioz, who was a physician, and his wife, Marie Antoinette Josephine, which I feel like is...
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's
Hit them all.
Hitting them all, getting
Yeah.
them in, getting them in. His dad was a well-respected physician in their community. He was actually really progressive in his views. He was credited as the first European doctor to practice acupuncture and was an outspoken agnostic. Hector's mother, though, was a strict Roman Catholic. So,
oh, geez, what a
kind
combo.
of. That's what happens whenever people arrange marriages. I don't know if their marriage was arranged, but
Yeah.
It feels opposite of arranged when you see it that way. Like, you would think that somebody would be like, that would be something that you would want your arranged marriage to be aligned about.
Yeah, but like back in the day, it was just like how much money you got, how much money you got, how much land you got. Let's combine forces. It had nothing to do with being like, do you guys like each other? Do you have anything in common?
Did you just say combine horses?
Forces?
I think that's what I said.
I mean,
we're going to combine the horses.
Also the horses.
I mean,
how many horses?
How
you
many
got?
horses? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very important.
Yeah, it'd be important. Hector attended school until the age of 10, at which point his father took him out of school and began educating him himself. I mean, he is a physician, and it's a long time ago. I feel like it's not...
Yeah, 10? He should have been like married with 2 kids by now.
Right? Yeah, I got a mortgage.
Yeah. Blacker.
Hector was an emotional child with a lot of feelings, something that you'll see continue on throughout the rest of his life. In his memoirs, he describes having a love for art and philosophy and how he was moved to tears by Virgil's account of the tragedy of Dido. So very sensitive and emotional.
Are you sure that he's a Sagittarius? Sounds like a
Well, I need to see the rest
Pisces.
of his of his chart.
Okay.
While Hector's father allowed his son to indulge in these pursuits in the interest of a well-rounded education, even allowing Hector basic instruction in the guitar and flute, he made it clear early on that he expected his son to go into medicine as he had. Hector was a romantic, we'll say that, from a young age. At the age of 12, he developed a devastating crush on a neighbor girl named Estelle, who at the time was 18 and not at all interested.
honey.
Dude,
this little neighbor. I mean, that is something that I think still happens. Like the whole I'm in love with my babysitter.
Yeah,
or whatever.
devastating.
Girl next
though.
door.
Devastating at 12.
Yes,
that feels
well,
extra.
It's very extra.
Yeah, I had crushes. I'm trying to remember my very first crush. And I feel like it was around like 7th grade. I feel like that was my
I
very
had
first
crushes.
crush.
Yeah, I had crushes early. I mean, I shared with all of TikTok my 5th grade diary. I drew pictures. There's hearts around me.
A crush with like somebody in real life.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was obsessed with David Bowie in the Labyrinth.
No.
But
I had crushes. IRL people in my class. Look, it's all over. I reread my 5th grade diary, and I was a hoe in the crush department.
love it.
For real.
Every other day was a new one.
Yeah, there's
Just like
several
that
boys
Matthew.
mentioned in that. Yeah, Aaron, how you doing? If you're out there, okay. So he credits these feelings that he had on with Estelle. He credits those feelings of unrequited love to lead him to a life of music. He's like, that's what led me to music. Looking for a way to express his feelings, he turned towards composition. He would later say, quote, "Love cannot express the idea of music, while music may give an idea of love." Mm-hmm. So he's like, I can get out my feelings. What is it? Was it Napoleon Dynamite where he's just like, I just got to dance my feelings out. Like, that's kind of how I feel about it.
I always think of Dazed and Confused when he's in the backseat of the car. And he's like, my dad wants me to do this. And he's like, but I got to dance.
I got to get my feelings out. So though he had no formal education or training in the piano, he began reading every book on music composition he can find. He's like, I don't know how to play the piano, but we got a library. I'm going to read all the books about how to compose music.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah. At the age of 17, Hector completed his primary school education and was ready to go to college. He wanted to study music, but his dad insisted that he study medicine. When Hector pushed back against this, saying that the idea of dissecting human bodies disgusted him, valid.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to live your life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also, I mean, kind of a big part of the job is like, you're going to have to fuck with some bodies. You know?
You're in that
are
time
going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were like grave robbing and stuff like that. That time.
Nasty.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, maybe medicine's not for you.
Right.
But whenever he was like, no, I don't want to do this, his dad offered him a healthy allowance. He's like, I'll give you lots of money, and said that he could attend medical school in Paris if he would just go. He's like, you don't have to stay here. You can go to I know you want to go to the city. I'll let you go and attend medical school in Paris, and I'll give you a bunch of money.
Yeah.
To do
Amen.
it.
He's like, oh yeah, no, medical school's so
Sounds
hard.
great.
Exactly.
So he agreed and enrolled in the School of Medicine of the University of Paris.
Which is also doubles as an art school, right? I'm just kidding.
For him, Paris, I think, just doubles as an art school in this time period.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
So he goes and studies medicine, but he never lets go of his love for art and music. And lucky for him, this was the Romantic period in Paris. So it was his emo ass fit right in.
Le hot topic.
Limo.
We've all known this guy.
For
sure. He spent all of his spare time in opera houses or in the city's music library. He became obsessed with opera and sought out a professor at a local conservatory to take him on as a private pupil to teach him composition. He's like, I need to figure out what I'm doing because I don't play the piano. So, so he found a teacher.
But I've read about it.
I read a lot. I know it in theory. He completed his time at university and then told his dad, like, hey, I did what you asked. I went to medical school, but I'm not feeling it. And his dad was like, cool. Medicine isn't for everyone.
No,
you can be a lawyer instead. You can be a lawyer. That's fine. And Hector was like, no way, Dad.
No way. I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it. I want to be a composer. So his dad started drastically reducing and sometimes fully withholding his son's allowance. So Hector was full on La Vie Boheme, broke musician at this point.
Imagine the privilege.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still happens.
Yes. Wow.
In 1826, he started attending a music conservatory, and that same year, he began attending theatrical productions, particularly productions of Shakespeare's Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. And though he didn't speak English, and all of these were being done in English, he described feeling overwhelmed by the plays, which started for him a lifelong love of Shakespeare. Now, whether or not that had to do with the stories themselves or the lead actress in these plays, we're not sure. What we do know is that Hector spotted a 27-year-old lead actress, Harriet Smithson, on the stage, and lightning bolt, love at first sight. We know how Hector does. He sees somebody from across the way, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He crushes fast too.
He crushes fast and hard.
Some people want big feels.
Big feelings. He's a big feelings kind of guy.
He is the person who would tell the person he's dating that he has a crush on somebody else.
Oh, he's got big feelings.
Yeah.
He wants to feel all the feels.
Yeah. His biographer, Hugh MacDonald, would go on later to call it emotional derangement.
Okay, that feels not nice.
Well,
Oh shit.
Harriet was born on March 18th, 1800, so she is a Pisces, in Ireland. While both of her parents were actors, they had wanted something different for their daughter, and so they sent her away to be raised by a reverend. When Reverend Daddy died, when Harriet was...
Reverend Daddy,
that's just your daddy, Reverend.
Yeah.
He died when Harriet was just 8, so she was then sent to boarding school. Her parents were like, oh, that plan didn't work out, but we still don't want to raise you. So they sent her to boarding school.
Wow.
And while at boarding school, they were doing everything they could. They were both actors, and they were like, we don't want this life for you. They were the opposite of Hector's father. And so they were trying to keep her away from everything. But once she got sent to boarding school, of course, she was introduced to literature and theater and immediately followed in her parents' footsteps. At the age of 14, Harriet made her first stage debut. And while the play didn't receive great reviews, her performance did. And eventually her talent took her to London and then Paris, where her unique, at the time, naturalistic acting style, which is like, that's how we like it now, but back in the day it was all about like big theatrics,
drama.
and she was really natural in the way she performed on stage, and that went over really, really well in Paris. And she started performing Shakespeare alongside prominent actor Charles Kimball, so she kind of always played his opposite. Nice. It was during one of these productions that Hector first spotted Harriet and became instantly smitten. Smitten seems like the wrong word, actually.
It feels light.
It was more like obsession. He would go on to write in his memoirs, and this man, he wrote in his memoirs, quote, "I come now to the supreme drama of my life. An English company had come over to Paris to give a season of Shakespeare at the Odeon. I was at the first night of Hamlet. In the role of Ophelia, I saw Harriet Smithson. The impression made on my heart and mind by her extraordinary talent, nay, her dramatic genius, was equaled only by the havoc wrought in me by the poet she so nobly interpreted. That's all I can say." That's
all I can say.
Oh, wow.
He just saw her and immediately was like, my whole life is about this woman now.
Waiting for a girl like you. And then he
Exactly.
wrote that.
Oh, and then you didn't know.
What you didn't know.
That's a Berlioz original right there. He immediately began sending her flowers and gifts every single day. He wrote her long love letters and attended all of her performances.
And she's meanwhile like, who?
What? Yeah.
Who dis?
He even figured out where she lived and rented an apartment near hers so that he could watch her come and go.
No.
He did this for 4 years. And predictably, Harriet refused to meet him.
She's like left on red.
Absolutely fucking not.
No.
Like, she's an actress. She's like, this is a deranged fan. Like
Yeah.
that. It's you're getting letters, you're getting flowers, you're getting like, you're seeing this guy because he's watching you go place. He's stalking you. Like, he's straight up fucking stalking you for 4 years.
Woof.
And she refused to meet him in all that time, and in 1829 moved back to London. By his own admission, he thought of nothing but Harriet. He dreamed of nothing but her. And just like with his neighbor when he was a child, he felt like he needed to work out his feelings through song. And so he began to compose. Berlioz had come across a French translation of Irish melodies, and that was kind of his first thing. Like, he started composing based on that for Harriet because she was Irish. And so he was like, I gotta get in the Irish spirit for Harriet.
Oh, wow.
And then during the time that he was pining for Harriet, he was also working on what would later become his masterpiece and his most enduring work, which is called the Symphonie Fantastique. And this is the one that if you listen to it, you're like, oh yeah, you'll pick up pieces of that. The piece was all about an artist who is madly in love with a woman who does not know he exists. And how the journey leads to self-destruction, with the man eventually ending up at a witch's sabbath taking opium. So very fun.
Okay.
Fun stuff. While he was working on Symphonie Fantastique, he met a young 19-year-old pianist named Camille Moque, who thought Hector was just bee's knees. So Hector's in love with Harriet, but Camille's in love with Hector. She's like working on she's pining for him, playing the piano, like for his composition that he's making for another woman.
girl. Do you know, I'm listening to this story and I'm like, yeah, it's taking place in the 1800s, but it's so easily be right now.
Yes, definitely.
Honestly.
This is
nothing changes.
No.
This is a 2004 rom-com that they tried to make us feel like it was romantic, but you're like, actually, that's creep behavior. Yeah. That's real stalker behavior.
It's like that movie Roxanne. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, based off
of
Cyrano.
Yeah.
So Camille was pining for him, and he doesn't even notice Camille at all. When Hector heard that Harriet was going to return from London to Paris, he was like, now is my chance. And so he arranged a performance of the symphony in her honor to celebrate her return. Big party, symphony, right? He's got everything ready. He's like done this big romantic gesture for her.
She does not come.
She does not show up.
No, she does not.
I don't know her.
I do not know her.
That creep who wrote me letters for 4 years? No.
Oh man, I
No,
already
thank
got
you.
plans. That's weird.
Upset by this, Like I can just imagine him, like he's just scanning the crowd, like looking out. It's like, is she here yet?
Don't bring out the appetizers yet. She's not here yet.
Oh no. Just a line of waiters with trays on their shoulder.
My arm's getting tired. Upset by this, the fact that she didn't show up, who was there to provide him comfort but Camille, who by all accounts was pretty hot. Like all the descriptions of her, she's like gorgeous, long dark hair, big blue eyes. She would be played by Zooey Deschanel in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was very, very into him. And so the two began seeing each other seriously. And eventually Hector asked Camille to marry him, and she agreed. Camille's mother, however, was not pleased with the match. She didn't want her beautiful daughter ending up with some penniless, brooding musician. And it said that she made Hector jump through a number of hoops. She threw hurdles in the couple's path, like every chance she got. Hector, who called his future mother-in-law the hippopotamus.
Oh, no. That don't feel good.
It's not. No, I feel like it's not a good relationship.
I love that.
He was very annoyed by having to jump through all these hoops, but he was determined to see the marriage with Camille through. Shortly after their engagement, Hector went to Italy, and as is his way, he wrote an opera dedicated to his new lady, Camille. 3 weeks into his trip, though, he receives a letter from Camille's mother informing him that Camille has found a new, older, richer man to marry and will be breaking off their engagement effective immediately.
Oh, damn.
It was like,
Damn.
The man Camille was set to marry was a piano maker 30 years her senior, also named Camille.
No.
Camille Pliel. So, yeah, Camille and Camille.
No, Mom, I don't want to. I don't want to marry a guy with my name.
30 years older than you, yeah. Hector, of course, was heartbroken and furious. Big feelings. Mm-hmm. This is a man, feels too much. He immediately devised a dramatic plot to leave Rome, return to Paris, murder both Camille's and Camille's mother, and then kill himself. He's got this big plan. He put his plan into motion, stealing 2 double-barrel pistols, purchasing poison, and a disguise, which was a French-made costume.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
In my mind, it's the old dirty, like French-made costume that's like a miniskirt.
Of course.
Which it's
not.
But,
it's basically just an apron.
But in my mind, that is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's
like
just
from
big ass,
a feather duster.
hairy ass legs and a short ass.
I mean, he is a pretty small guy. His passport was like, he's like 5'4". So
he's my size.
Yeah, he's our height. Yeah. But I was just like, what a weird choice. He's like, I'm going to break into the Pliel home in this French-made costume.
No one will know.
Wow.
So
how will they know?
How will they know?
How will they know?
Yeah.
They're going to know.
Yeah, they're going
to know.
I've seen pictures of Hector Berlioz. They're going to know.
Yeah.
He has a beard, doesn't he?
So he sets off for Paris, and along the way, apparently loses the French-made costume.
Oh, no.
So,
probably for the best.
No, Christina. He's not giving up on the French-made costume.
Oh, okay.
No.
He loses it, so he's like, no worries. I'm just going to make a pit stop in Italy and acquire another French-made costume.
They sell French-made costumes in
sell
Italy.
them, right?
Oh, man.
I just get another one before continuing.
They're going to know.
Before continuing on his way. So while there, he...
Sorry, I looked at the
Cassie's
picture.
looking up pictures of him.
They're gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Exactly. Like, you got mutton chops, my guy.
Yeah.
Sir, they're gonna know.
So while he's in Italy getting his replacement French-made costume, he has an accident. He has an accident in which he falls into the Mediterranean Sea and almost drowns.
What?
Such a mess.
How did he fall into the sea? Where is he shopping for French-made costumes?
In Venice.
So ridiculous. So after being fished out and spending a considerable, they had to fish him out, and then he like almost died. Like they spent a considerable amount of time like pumping all the seawater out of his lungs. God. He was vomiting up seawater. Then after that, he's like, he has a come to Jesus moment, and he's like, you know what? maybe I will follow through with this murder-suicide plot I've got going on here. He would later write in his memoirs that he called off the plot not for the sake of the people he was set to murder, but because his love of life and art were too strong for him to want to kill himself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, can't deny the world this sweet, sweet talent, you know?
Wow. Jeez.
Either way, he decides to let everything go, and he spends some time in Nice writing music before returning to Rome. As for the Camilles, just as a side note, the Camilles, their marriage was short-lived. 4 years into their marriage, Man Camille separated from Lady Camille, citing scandalous conduct and multiple infidelities. Apparently, Girl Camille had many lovers, including the composer Franz Liszt.
Oh,
Yes.
girl.
And there was a Chopin anecdote where, like, because Liszt and Chopin were friends, and they had like a falling out because Liszt used Chopin's room for one of their like rendezvous, and Chopin was like, absolutely fucking not. Don't bring your affair into my house. Okay. In 1932, Hector decides to return to France. Upon his return, he arranged a concert of his work, mainly the Symphonie Fantastique and the sequel he had written to it, Lelio. Through a third party, Smooth, he sent an invitation to Harriet Smithson. He's like, don't put my name on it. She won't come.
She ain't gonna come.
It's someone
still
else.
harboring for Harriet.
Yes, never stopped harboring for Harriet. Because all that time
Don't tell her it was from me.
Yeah, don't tell her it was me. All that time he was with Camille, he was still working on his symphonies. And Lelio, the sequel to Symphonie Fantastique, was also written in Harriet's honor. So still carrying that torch. Again, has not met this woman. Like, has been carrying a torch for like 7 years at this point.
She's
Never
a
met her.
very, very good actress.
Yes. Jesus, yeah.
Very good actress.
The Meryl Streep of her time.
Yeah. Harriet accepts the invite, and when she arrives, she's not only stunned by all the high-profile attendees. There's Liszt, there's Chopin, there's Alexandre Dumas, there's Victor Hugo. All these people are there, but she's also dazzled by the music. She hears the music, and she's like, "This is amazing!" And then she finds out, because I guess she didn't know, that she was the muse for this, and she's like, "Wow,
me?
Little old me." She's like so flattered.
Been there.
Yeah. You are the you love being a muse. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like over here with Dumas, like, tell me more about these fighting men.
Everything. Yeah.
Tell me more about a musketeer.
So she sends Hector a message congratulating him on his successful concert, and the two finally meet in real life. Soon they become lovers, and in 1833, Harriet agrees to marry her obsessive weirdo stalker. So it worked out for Hector. Long game. By the time of their marriage, Harriet is 33, 3 years older than her husband, and obviously a living corpse. 33, and they're like her career is over. She's all washed up.
33
Washed up.
pretty much. Like ready for the old age.
Yeah, settle in. So she's not been as successful on the acting front after returning to London, and then after coming back to Paris, she had tried to start her own theater company, but it didn't work out, and so she was deeply in debt, and her career was on the decline. Still, it seems that the first couple years of their marriage were fairly happy, and the couple had a son in 1834 who they named Louis. In 1836, Harriet's career was effectively dead. She'd played her last role. There was nothing on the horizon. Hector wasn't making a lot of money, but he was really famous. Like, his fame was sky high at this point. And although he'd written one failed opera, his music was popular enough that at one point he was sent a check for what would be the equivalent of $200,000 from a generous benefactor who liked his work. So it allowed him to pay off his debts and Harriet's debts. Things should be going well. You got your kid, you know, you're together. But
you're rich,
Harriet, and I think that this is understandable. There's a lot of things that I read that paint her kind of in a bad light, and it's not good. I'm not trying to defend her, but she was really struggling with the death of her career. I mean, she'd been working since she was 14 as an actress. Yeah. She was very famous, like, at one point. Her career is declining while her husband's career is taking off, and I think she felt really left
a
behind.
Star is Born.
Yeah,
kind of
yes,
thing.
totally. So she became really jealous. He was out all the time, salons and whatnot, and it really absorbed in that culture. And she became really jealous and really possessive. She was accusing him of cheating on her all the time, and she started drinking really heavily. And when she drank, she would become verbally, and some say even physically abusive towards Hector. So bad.
Yeah.
Very bad. In 1841, Hector met a young opera singer named Marie Riccio, and soon the two were having a full-blown affair, with Hector taking Marie with him on tour and composing music in her honor. So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Is I read articles that were like, he was such a devoted husband to...
Not when you're writing music for another bitch.
That's the thing. I'm like, they're like, he loved Harriet so much and she was so mean to him. And I'm like, okay, but look, man, if you're accusing somebody of doing something and then they go and do it, it's kind of like, well... maybe she had a reason to be upset. Not that the abuse is, there's no excuses for it. I'm not making excuses for that.
But also, doesn't he seem like the type that loves the idea of women more than the actual woman?
Yeah.
And the idealized version that like doesn't have any issues or like confrontations or complications. That's totally what he reads to me. He loves this idealized version of woman, not an actual human being.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course, though, it wouldn't be a Hector Berlioz relationship without drama. Apparently, Marie was controlling and prone to diva-ish behavior, even though by all accounts, she wasn't very talented.
Wow.
So she's an opera singer, but she was not very talented. Well, she would demand lead singing roles, even though Hector compared his mistress's voice to cats screeching. At one point, he tried to abandon Marie.
My God.
I think they were in Germany, and he was like, I'm going to sneak out back.
No.
They were on tour. He tried to flee, but she pursued him and caught up with him. She's like, not on my watch. Not today.
How's that for the what do you say when you reunite? I was going to come back. I was
running the store.
It's like, you're 2 towns over.
I like the baguettes they have here.
I was going to come back for you.
It just seems really exhausting. Marie would also go out of her way to provoke Harriet on purpose and like upset, like rub her relationship with Hector in Harriet's face.
We don't like that.
Yeah. So that was like anytime the two women were within vicinity. So this prompted Hector to set up a second household for Marie, where he spent most of his time. So he had 2 houses, one for his mistress and one for Harriet. Of course, this only increased Harriet's
1800s was wild
times, man. Imagine a time when you had 2 house money. I don't even have 1 house money.
I know.
I have tiny house money.
Our timeline will never have 1 house money. I
don't have a mistress house money. That's crazy. Of course, this only made Harriet more unhappy, and she began drinking more and more, and her health began to fail until she was having regular seizures. In 1848, at the age of 48, Harriet suffered a series of strokes that left her partially paralyzed and in need of constant care. Hector, for whatever credit we can give him, did continue to pay for her daily care.
Oh, gosh.
Good for
heaven.
Thank
forbid.
you so much.
Jesus.
As a result of all the health issues she suffered from years of alcohol abuse, Harriet died in 1853 and was buried. That same year, he married Marie, and in a letter to his son, I didn't write down exactly what he said, but he said in a letter to his son, he's just like, look, man, I don't even really care about marrying Marie, but we've been together for 14 years, so I kind of feel like we got to.
Oh, jeez.
She's been his mistress for 14 years, you know?
Yeah, sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, yikes. In 1862, Marie died of heart disease. Though she and Hector were together for over 20 years, he barely mentions her in his memoirs.
Oh, shit.
When he speaks of his 2 great loves, he mentions Estelle, the neighbor.
Oh, my God. What? Estelle is like, are you fucking serious?
Well, okay.
That weird kid that lived next door to me.
Oh, okay. So he mentions Estelle, and then of course he mentions his muse, Harriet. These are his 2 great loves that he talks about. So after Marie dies, Harriet has died. Marie has died. His son dies. And
what?
Yeah, his son was a naval captain, and in 1867 he died of yellow fever in Havana. So he was, heartbroken. But prior to this, he had another relationship with the 27-year-old, like he's in his 50s. He had like another relationship, and that woman, after they broke up, died. So
Jesus,
like all of his people are dying. So he did go back to his hometown, knock, knock, knock.
No, he did not.
No. No.
Yes. And the two, I don't know if there was anything romantic, but at the time she was in her 60s at that point, and the two had a written correspondence through the rest of his life.
Wow.
Like, can you imagine that one weird neighbor you had one time harbors a torch for you until you're like 62?
No.
And then knocks on your door one day?
Yeah, I'm still thinking about you, Estelle.
Oh, I got chills.
Oh.
And not in the good way.
I don't know. It's very intense. Hector did die alone. He fell into illness and died in 1869.
I'm not going to lie that I thought you were going to say fell into the sea again. Sir, just stay away.
Stay away from the sea. What are you doing? He left instructions for Harriet's body. I find this so fucked up. You let me know what you think. He left instructions for Harriet's body to be exhumed.
No.
And buried in the same plot as him and Marie.
No.
Which feels
that's disrespectful.
so disrespectful. Like,
I would
you have to share an eternal resting place with this woman you hated and hated you.
Wish you wouldn't.
And it feels so self-centered that like I need
all. Yeah, no, I don't like that.
I hate it. Well, anyway, that is the wild, weird, romantic history of Hector Berlioz.
Wow. The French maid thing. That's can we talk?
And just like he's like, you broke off this engagement. I know what I'll do. Like, what a dramatic human being. Like, we all know someone like this who just like is too, maybe not to that degree, but is like way too intense about like absolutely everything. Like, it's just like, my dude, it is not that deep. You do not need
feelings.
You do not need to kill three people. Camille, and the woman he called the hippopotamus.
Oh God! Wow, that was a roller coaster.
Yeah,
I loved it. Good job.
Thank you.
Wow.
Woo. Well, what are you guys watching this week?
Oh man,
I already talked about me depression watching
The Office.
The Office. That's pretty much it.
I started Prehistoric Planet.
Oh my gosh. With David Attenborough?
Oh my God. Which, by the way, David Attenborough is like 94 years old.
And
I Googled
is chipper as fuck.
I was like, this man.
A treasure.
How is he? Like,
How dope is that show though? And also, how do they know though?
That's what I said. I was
How
watching
do they
it,
know?
loving it. First of all, so if you haven't seen it, it's on, I think, Apple TV.
Yeah.
And it's basically like Planet Earth.
Yeah.
But it's all like
kind of almost
CGI.
speculative history
But
of dinosaurs.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like
and it's based off of the most recent findings that paleontologists have uncovered as far as like how they presume or how they suspect that these animals lived their lives.
And it is
so
very
cool.
It is
It
very
really
cool,
is
but
neat.
there were times where I was just like, how do they know that?
know.
How do they know that?
From bones? How do they know
figured that out
that's
from bones?
That color?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
There's some paleontologists listening like, actually,
it's really easy how we figured
know.
it out.
We know.
Oh, darn it.
But it is, if you like Planet Earth and you are at all interested in dinosaurs, you will find it truly fascinating. But I will
if you
say,
like David Attenborough's voice.
yes, which
There
who
you go.
doesn't?
The end.
I will say it does the same thing to me that all nature shows, Planet Earth does to me, which is like
night.
makes me sleepy or makes me filled with so much anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these aren't even real. I'm not even watching like a real baby
You're like,
dinosaur.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't watch.
I'm like, please let him escape.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, they're hatched and then they immediately have to jump off a cliff and fly to safety. Like, terrifying.
I only happened to watch part of it because our friend Mackenzie today came over to get her hair done, and she brought her little boy with her, and we turned it on just to have something like semi-entertaining in the background.
Is he fascinated?
He doesn't love TV,
Oh,
so
well,
he
that's good.
is a very like, he's like, what's this? What's this?
Active
What's
child,
He's
yeah.
active, and he is not entertained by television. However, there were times where he stopped, and you could like see that. I'm like, it's David Attenborough. I
And
mean,
it's
like,
beautiful.
It's
It is
beautiful,
beautifully shot, yeah.
So, yeah. So, but what I'm watching is, I don't know if I told you guys this because I'm in the 4th season of a show called Balthazar.
Oh, no.
It's a French show on Acorn through Amazon, but it's a procedural, and he is a doctor, like a
coroner, morgue person.
Yeah, like a coroner, exactly. Like he
a morgue person. Yeah.
Oh, he's a morgue guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he works with the local police department, so they solve crimes and stuff. And it's very interesting. And there is a arch through like the first like 3 seasons of like this kind of serial killer.
Ooh, I love a procedural.
It's
I do.
really good. Yeah.
I gotta just get Acorn. Apparently, every time you come in here and you talk about a show, I'm
know.
like, that sounds like something I would enjoy.
It's good. It is one of those things though that like if I'm semi-tired, like I'm like, we have to stop the show because they're like literally it's you're reading subtitles.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You really have to pay attention. But it is really good. High recommend.
Oh.
Well,
if you guys have something that we should watch or read, if you have stories that you want to share with us, FMK suggestions, basically anything, go to our one-stop shop of website. It's myworstatepodcast.com. And we love you so much.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media Podcast.